Hello and good morning, students of Class 8. Welcome to the class in SST. Dear students, I am dealing with the chapter in history, that is chapter number 11, March towards Independence, that is Gandhian phase of the national movement. In this regard, I had taught you till the Lahore session of the Congress, on which under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru, the Congress had decided to declare 26 January 1930 to be the Purn Swaraj Divas or Complete Independence Day. Now, in this class, I will begin with the portion that is civil disobedience movement, which started from 1930 and lasted up to 1934. This civil disobedience movement, under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, started with the Dandi March. What was Dandi March? Dandi March was a symbolic protest to break the salt law. As you know, the government had a monopoly on the manufacture and sale of salt. On 12th March 1930, Gandhiji, along with his followers, left the Sabarmati ashram at Ahmedabad and travelled towards Dandi village on the west coast of India. During this journey, he covered a distance of 385 kilometers in a span of 25 days. Gandhiji reached Dandi on 6th April 1930. At Dandi, Gandhiji picked up a handful of natural salt lying on the seashore and boiled it to make salt and broke the salt law and thereby challenged the British laws. After the breaking of salt laws, the British laws were violated everywhere. For example, educational institutions, offices, and law courts were boycotted. Farmers refused to pay land revenue. In the northwest frontier province, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan and his group of volunteers, known as Khudai Khidmatgar, stopped paying taxes. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan was called the Frontier Gandhi. The 1931 Congress session held at Karachi adopted two resolutions. The first was the people's fundamental rights and the other on a national economic programs for India, which included economic planning, land reforms, basic education, and industrial development. Now I come to the discussion about the round table conferences. Students, in all, there were 3 round table conferences summoned by the government to discuss various issues with the Indians. The first round table conference, it was held in November 1930. It was called by the government in London to discuss the reforms proposed by the Simon Commission. It was boycotted by the Congress. Only the Muslim League, the Hindu Mahasabha, and the representatives of the Indian princes attended it. The second round table conference held in 1931 was joined by Congress. Before this, a settlement between Mahatma Gandhi and Viceroy Lord Irwin was reached, known as the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. The Gandhi-Irwin Pact provided that Gandhiji agreed to suspend the civil disobedience movement and participate in the second round table conference. In turn, the Viceroy agreed to release all the prisoners, lift the ban on press, and return confiscated property. Now, Gandhiji was appointed as the sole representative of the Congress to the second round table conference. By this time, there was a coalition government in Britain with a conservative majority. The third round table conference was held in 1932. In November 17, 1932. Only 46 delegates attended. Most of the main political figures of India did not attend it. The Labour Party from Britain and the Indian National Congress refused to attend the third round table conference. From September 1931 till March 1933, under the supervision of the Secretary of State for India, Sir Samuel Hoare, the proposed reforms took the form reflected in the Government of India Act 1935. Now I will discuss about the Government of India Act 1935. The Government of India Act of 1935 provided the following features. First, the Federation of India was to be established in more than 50% of princely states if more than 50% of princely states decided to join it. Secondly, the Act granted provincial autonomy. Diarchy or double rule was abolished. The governors now had to act on the advice of their ministers. The ministers were made responsible to the legislative assemblies. The powers of the legislature was also increased. Diarchy was also introduced at the center. The reserved subjects were to be administered exclusively by the Governor General. The federal subjects were to be looked after by the Governor General on the advice of his ministers. The Act made provisions for the establishment of a federal court. Lastly, the Act gave special powers and responsibilities to the governors. The Act was approved by the Congress. The Congress demanded provisions for a constituent assembly. The Congress and the Muslim League decided to contest the elections of 1937. In the elections of January-February 1937, the Congress won absolute majority in the 5 provinces. The Congress ministers were formed in 7 out of 11 provinces. In 2 provinces, it formed coalition government. With this, I close this portion of the national movement of Gandhian phase. In the next phase or in the next class, I will discuss about the Second World War, the Quit India movement, the cabinet missions, and independence and partition. Thank you.